We're not late, not Tanner. All right, Anthony? Not Tanner. And no, not cutting back on the milk and cookies. That's not happening. I was actually having a conversation with one of the friends of the channel, and he should be meeting me pretty soon here. So I'm going to give him a moment. We're going to talk about the news. He actually has not heard the news today. He did not have time to look at the market, so we're going to break it to him live. Appreciate everybody joining. Hope everybody's day was good. I mean, I am going to have a nice glass of milk later and watch some football, without a question. So once Mr. Matt gets on, we'll start. I love the fact that you guys had milk for me. That's amazing. All right, user. I've mentioned True Romance several times. You must have missed it, but I have mentioned it several times. And let's see, I'll do some more of these questions before Matt gets on. Let's see. I think that, look, from BMNR and Ethereum, I'm buying both. I'm not sure which one's going to do better. I do think that BMNR has a better chance of generating more alpha because of staking and restaking. So let's see what happens. There's going to be a lot of network benefits also from them owning so much. And I think that they're going to get a multiple. So that's where I'm at, but I'm buying both. Rob, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Somebody just entered the stage.
Steven.
Mega Matt.
I think the people want to know.
The people want to know what?
Monday night.
Yeah.
Is the milkman going to deliver?
You know what? I'm going to have some milk and cookies and watch Monday Night Football in a little bit.
Dude. What is Chicago and who?
Well, before we get to that, Matt, I got a different type of cookie for tonight.
Yeah.
I went with the elves. I went with some Keebler elf cookies.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Too many people sleep on the elves.
And what type though? The rainbow joints or what?
I took a picture. I kind of saw these when I went to the store before. Why did it just flip? Spooky fudge stripes.
Ooh, I'd destroy those.
Same here. I'm going to destroy them later.
So I'm when the Girl Scout cookies come out, I'm definitely
don't get
caramel
me
delight.
Don't get me started.
Whatever. Do people call them Samoans? Some people call them Samoans. Some people call them the caramel delights. I call them caramel delight, but
let's just call them just amazingness. How about that?
Yeah, I don't buy them for a reason. I'll tell you that much.
I gotta tell you, I made the mistake of one of my best friends. His daughter was selling them, and I'm like, sure. Let me ask you a question. How many do you need for the next level of prizes? And she's like, I need like 20 something boxes. Okay, I'll take 25. It was not a good idea. It was a great for her because she got the next tier prizes. I had to bring some to the office and just leave them out because I would have demolished all of them.
You're a champion, Steven.
So you really didn't see the news today, did you?
No, unfortunately not. Right. So I'm curious to see. I was like half listening to what unfortunately Amit was saying. I wish I could have paid attention more. I was just in the zone, and I couldn't really listen too much during the close, unfortunately.
Yes, Rambler Girl Scout cookies. Matt and I are big fans. Now, I'm actually, before we go with the news and get into this about why this is so bullish for energy, what is the chat's favorite Girl Scout cookies? I'm interested.
I try to decide. So I would say, well, while they're answering, uh, I would say the caramel delight is like a, I don't know. So the three that I mess with the most are the peanut butter sandwiches. Then there's the peanut butter patties, which is the chocolate covered like boys with like the one side has the peanut butter and then it's
I'm
got like the little
familiar.
vanilla like cake side. Um, I don't know. They're all so good.
Listen, I'm a Samoa guy. I also like frozen thin mints a lot,
Mm.
like a lot.
Can't argue with that.
You know what's even better? Frozen thin mints, crushing them up and then dumping them on some vanilla ice cream.
Never
Forget
done
it.
it. Never done it.
Whoa, you've never done it?
Never done it, Steven.
Matt. I'm a little disappointed.
You know, there's a lot of things you could probably be disappointed in me about, Steven.
I'm a little disappointed that you've never crushed up frozen thin mints and thrown them on top of vanilla ice cream. Just a little disappointed.
Girl Scout Weekly.
Oh my God, those freaking cookies are amazing.
I don't even know. I didn't order any this year. So when I think my niece was selling them earlier this year. Isn't it like the springtime?
I don't even know. I just, whenever they come out. So, all right, let's just get into it. And I know that you may not be his biggest fan. Let's this is big for the energy field. It's big for a lot of things. Not one, not two, but 3 deals in 3 weeks. Or 2 weeks at this point.
Well, I like Broadcom.
And I went through this, and here's my assessment on this. And let me know what you think about this. So basically, the deal is that OpenAI will deploy 10 gigawatts of custom designed AI accelerators from Broadcom. OpenAI is going to design the chips and systems, then Broadcom will develop and deploy them. And this will allow OpenAI to embed what it learns from developing its AI models directly into the hardware. It's basically what Apple did with the A series chips for the iPhone.
Mm.
So I'm looking at this and I'm reading through everything and I'm like to myself, okay, so you got 10 gigawatts from NVIDIA, 6 from AMD, and 10 of custom silicon from Broadcom. So OpenAI, they basically just threw the gauntlet down to everybody and took a 3-pronged approach to this, where they scale with NVIDIA, they diversify with AMD, and they innovate with Broadcom. And the scale of this is only one thing: immense compute power. And what does this do? This now means that everybody has to come to the table and compete. And I think data center build out, if we weren't bullish enough on CapEx, I think we get more bullish when we see what's announced on Q3 and Q4 earnings from Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta, because they can't let this go unanswered, because OpenAI is a separate entity from Microsoft. What do you think about this?
So I guess I'm a little bit confused. So when you said OpenAI is now going to design their own chips?
Correct. As
Wasn't that is that bearish NVIDIA?
No, because it's going to help train the models more efficiently and offset workloads. They still need all the NVIDIA chips to keep scaling and get to super intelligence. They need more of everything. So they just came out with a 3-prong approach, and this is bullish everything. But I think energy is going to rally, not the names that have been rallying in nuclear that have no revenue. I actually think names in the oil patch are going to rally, because we're going to need so much more energy now.
So when you say chips, you mean the actual CPUs is what OpenAI is creating, but they still need the GPUs from NVIDIA?
Correct.
Okay.
It's the AI accelerator chips that they're doing with Broadcom. It's not the
Got it.
GPUs. It's something completely different.
Got it. Okay, thank you for clarification.
Yeah,
That's where when my initial thought process was that they were kind of trying to decouple themselves from NVIDIA, and
no.
I was like, that's very interesting and also very difficult because that's obviously a completely different direction for OpenAI. So that's a little bit more understanding, I guess, and more in line with, and it makes a little bit more sense. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
what?
do they have any thought processes as where in the country, or is it just a blanket announcement? Or
No. What I gathered from it, what it said is that so OpenAI is going to design its custom designed AI accelerators. OpenAI is going to design the chips and systems, and Broadcom is going to develop and deploy them. And it will allow OpenAI to embed what it learns from developing its AI models directly into hardware. And it will lead to massive gains in performance and energy efficiency. And the systems will be scaled with Broadcom's Ethernet and networking solutions. So this is a vertical integration play for them.
interesting.
But regardless of how this shakes out, they now just contracted 26 gigawatts of freaking chips across 3 companies. And they just basically threw down the gauntlet to everybody. And no matter what the other companies do, we need more electricity for all these data centers to run. And natural gas is still the dominant factor when it comes to the natural gas or the electric plants. So I think we get a lot more upstream production. I think we get a lot more in the energy infrastructure with transporting. So I think this is really big for energy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've always been very bullish on is not, and people are going to get me confused. I like Next. Next isn't a problem. I'm talking about NextEra Energy, though. NEE. I think it's a great company, and I've always wanted to buy it on pullbacks. There's, for some reason, I think because it has such a large debt load, it's always been a company that I think falls in and out of favor and has very cyclical sort of a stock price because of it. There'll be some sort of announcement where they have to do some sort of reshuffling of debt or something like that. So anyway, I like that company a lot, and I think it has a lot to do with renewables. It has a lot to do with the long-term grid associated with the southeastern part of the United States. I think it's the largest energy provider in Florida. And I think it has a lot to do with power in Georgia, has some nuclear in there as well. So I think it's a really good diversified utility play that I don't think people necessarily focus on too much, because I think everyone's so focused on the nuclear plays and the SMR, small modular reactor plays, which is great if you find the right one. It's just people have been talking about the problem that I have with SMRs and these sorts of companies is that people have been talking about them since the 80s. And Bill Gates has been throwing money at them for quite some time, and many others have been throwing money at them for quite some time, and nobody has truly been able to develop them at scale. And so, and maybe I'll eat my hat, things have been moving along, and but I have yet to see results that demonstrate that SMRs will actually be able to be done in a very cost efficient manner. There's a lot of people signing up for the promise of it, but the execution of it has been lackluster. So it's interesting. It goes back to always these people that are always signing these contracts to an extent, but never actually executing. And it gets me a little scary. And it's been a couple months since I've actually dove deep, and maybe there's been some breakthroughs. And I know nuclear has been running a good bit. So I mean, if anybody has some positive results and actually has some small modular reactors that are actually demonstrating some very right steps in the right direction, feel free to make me eat my hat. I'm more than happy to. But every time I've looked at it, it just hasn't shown up. But a lot of people are trying. But yes, the majority of the grid still in the United States is natural gas for sure.
Have you seen what NextEra's stock price has done?
Not lately.
I mean, the fact that we could have got it 70 less than a freaking, or just about a month ago. I mean,
yeah, I held it last year, about a year ago, back in 24 when it dipped. There was a really big dip from the 80s. If you go to the 5-year chart, there was a dip from the 80s to the 50s.
Yep.
Back in 23, it looked like. And I bought a little early. I started buying in the 60s, but then I loaded up and it dipped, I believe, actually dipped into like 48. And I don't think I ever got any in the 48s, but I definitely picked up a good bit in the low 50s. And
When did that switch?
when it got back up to the 80s, I think or the high 70s, I think I sold it, or I'd covered calls or something and it got called away. But I think I moved that money into Rocket Lab, and that ended up being a good move. But yeah, it's one of those plays where it's always like, it's a catch-22, right? Because it's one of those plays where it's like, you could hold this one forever. Great dividend play. Have done a really good job of maintaining their expansive debt load as they try to grow their power and diversify into the renewable space and grow their dividend by 6 to 8% per annum. But at the same time, it's like, is that really the stock that I want to be in at, my early 30s, now going into my mid 30s, or should I buy something like a Rocket Lab? And obviously, it's paid off going into something like Rocket Lab, but I wouldn't mind now taking something like some of the profits potentially, if I was a little bit older, and putting that back into something like an NextEra, because that's going to be something that is going to be firmed up and around for forever, right? Energy is something that we're always going to need, and the grid is still massively set up towards natural gas, and so it's going to take forever to be able to diversify away from oil and natural gas, because of just how long. I mean, you think about it, we've really been dependent upon that sort of infrastructure since the late 1800s, and so in order to really get away from it, we have to invest a crap ton of money into the new infrastructure for renewables, whether it's nuclear or or less carbon intensive, maybe, if you want to consider nuclear and maybe not renewable per se.
Here's what I don't understand. Oklo and all these companies are getting a bid on nuclear. How come Southern Company's not? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're running 7.
It's not an SMR, bro.
Right. It's not an SMR, but they are an actual nuclear company. 27% of Georgia's electricity comes from nuclear.
It's all about SMRs, bro.
I thought nuclear was nuclear, regardless if it's a small reactor.
Not an SMR.
It's not an SMR, so it's not part of the
SMR.
Club.
Not SMR.
It just doesn't make sense, because nuclear is nuclear. It doesn't matter if it's a full-blown station or an SMR. And Southern Company already has proven that they're a player in the game. We don't know that SMRs are going to freaking work.
Not an SMR. Just kidding. No, but it is interesting. Southern Company is another great one, and I know that you and Chris have touted this one a long time, because and I think it was early 25. I think you both were very, very in on this one. I think the price was pretty cheap in early 25, and I think you wrote a couple articles about it. And I'm with you. It's another great dividend play, right? I mean, where the hell else is Georgia going to be getting their power, right? It's one of those things where, and I don't think that I'm trying to remember, they haven't even fully commissioned the entirety, or they just fully finished the entirety of commissioning the entire nuclear. I forget what it is, but it's like just getting to the place where it's fully ramped up. I don't think it's even So it's not like it's on the last leg. Like, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, be like, Matt, I found this nuclear company. It's like, some of them are like already 25 years old, right? Like, I don't know if I want to be investing in a nuclear company that's 25 years old. It's not to say that it's going to go dormant tomorrow, but if I wanted to hold it for 25, 30 years, like, you're going to have to deal with the regulatory deadlines of, a lot of these things are scheduled for 35-year lives. And so, especially with nuclear and how much tape is around it, although it seems like this administration is trying to lessen the tape around nuclear because of the energy needs that we need on the grid. And it seems like Canada is in that space as well. So, which is promising. I'm pro-nuclear personally. I think all the energy that we can get, as long as it's done in the right way and has the right regulations, I'm for. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that there is going to need to be more energy. I think energy infrastructure is very interesting here. And look, energy transfer under 17 to me is a incredible deal. You're getting a 7 or 8% distribution yield. Nobody can replicate their infrastructure, and we need more throughput through the pipes. And Q3 earnings are coming up. You have Tesla next Wednesday kicking off the Mag 7, and then we roll into, I think, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta the next week, or Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft the next week, and then Amazon and Apple first week in November. And you have to think that they're going to make big announcements. After Microsoft's announcements and after OpenAI's announcements, the other three have been silent. They haven't said anything. Like, there's no way they don't increase their spend at this point. I don't see a way that they can. I think they're still in a prisoner's dilemma.
So what are you buying, Stephen? More ET?
More ET and more Enbridge. I mean, the thing about Enbridge that has me excited is their utility plays, because they bought those 3 natural gas utilities from Dominion. They have the Canadian Enbridge utility company, and they have all the pipelines and exporting. So, look, I am more geared toward the infrastructure side. I think upstream is very difficult, but obviously we're going to need more upstream. So I like Chevron and I like Exxon here.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad. I just think that they just have a premium, unfortunately. But, I can comment on Chevron. I don't think that the Hess acquisition is fully ramped up. And I want to say, I'm definitely going to get it wrong, but I want to say it was the Hess CEO back in the day, probably 3-4 years ago. Not back in the day, but 3-4 years ago, when they first started ramping up some of these facilities, they were anticipating an analog of about $1 billion in free cash flow, not ops cash, free cash flow of these boats per annum. And so, if you guys have been paying attention to the Hess and a Exxon portfolio in Guyana, they have just sanctioned their 7th boat with CNOC, the Chinese National Oil Company. And so if you think about it, and this was something I was doing in my head, because I think at one point they had just kind of announced that they were getting on track to, by this time, sanction their 7th boat. And so this was like 2 or 3 years back, before Chevron announced that they were going to buy out Hess for whatever they ended up buying it out at. But I think Hess was trading on the open market at like 35 or 40 billion. And I was like, you mean to tell me that these guys are going to be making $7 billion in free cash flow just from these boats? Not talking the Williston, not talking about their Goa assets, not talking about some of their other assets that are worldwide, but specifically just from their Guyana assets, about $7 billion in free cash flow and going, right? Because they have yet to fully drill out all their wildcat exploration in Guyana. I was like, I'm surprised that people haven't bought out Hess back in 2020 or 2021. It's astonishing to me that it took as long as it did. And I can't, I wish I could say more, but I can't. But I've been kind of like flabbergasted by the fact that people haven't been trying their best to take over Hess. The fact that it was really just done in late 23, early 24 with Chevron is astonishing to me.
And keep in mind, it gives Chevron another outlet for pretty much everything they produce.
What do you mean? Sorry, you lost me.
No, just think about it. I mean, Chevron has its gas stations. Now they have Hess. It's a great deal. Mike Wirth is an amazing CEO. And I have another prediction. The $9.7 billion sale of Oxy's chemical business to Berkshire is going to set them up to get acquired with their upstream business to get acquired by one of the bigger players.
Who, Occidental?
I think they get acquired. I think that's why Berkshire is purchasing the chemical business, because they're going to divest that, make it strictly an upstream company, and then get acquired by one of the big three, or maybe one of the big four.
Anadarko, before they were acquired by Oxy, was a powerhouse. They were growing, hand over fist, and they were really great organization, and I was happy to see them get bought because they were doing really well. But to be honest, it seems like, to me personally, Oxy is almost taking their eye off the ball a little bit. They're a great run organization. Don't get me wrong. Great partners. I love working with them. So anybody listening that works at Oxy, you've been awesome to work with. But the thing that bothers me the most about Occidental is, once again, and this is something that I think Chevron and Exxon do very well, is balancing the shareholder returns, where I think Oxy has maybe been too focused on trying to appease Warren Buffett with shareholder returns, that I think that they've almost spent too much money trying to consolidate their share count and too much money trying to get back into dividends. And they've lost what it means to become an oil company. You don't grow in this business by, very rarely do you grow organically. You generally have to grow through pockets of inorganics, and then hope that the oil price skyrockets between times of uncertainty. And maybe that's my bias, because I've really only been watching for the past 12, 13 years. But it's really the folks that continue to invest through the cycle and are able to make ends meet through inorganic acquisitions, and then really consolidate their portfolios and streamline. So Shell did a phenomenal job buying BG. I think it was very ridiculed back in 2015 when that happened. And but because of that acquisition, they were able to get into a lot of Brazil assets that are now churning out a lot of cash for Shell. But anyway, I'm diving too much into upstream as a whole, but I don't think that the free cash flow is fully recognized for Chevron, and I think it's going to continue to be a great opportunity for them going forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if by middle 2030, early 2030s, we won't see 10, 11 boats being sanctioned. They're on seventh boat just being sanctioned in Guyana now. I wouldn't be surprised if they're on their 10th, 11th boat by early 2030.
Have you seen what's going on with Bloom Energy?
Bloom? No.
This is crazy. I was talking to somebody about buying this last year. I mean, obviously nobody could have known that this was going to happen. It's up 950% a year. Makes me wonder if companies like QuantumScape are going to do anything now.
Let's see.
Even QuantumScape is freaking running. Oh my God. QuantumScape since June has gone from 4 to 17. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but once again, I mean, it's not to say that these companies won't eventually grow into these valuations, but is it warranted today, right? And
agreed.
I guess the nice thing is at least it seems like these guys are starting to get to a place where they're profitable. But I don't know enough about their business where it makes sense for me to really comment as much as I.
That's why I didn't invest, because I didn't understand the solid state battery or the battery storage. So I was sticking with infrastructure and upstream because that's the segment I understand. But look, this news from OpenAI to me is super bullish. And I really think that Q3 earnings are going to be really good. And it's going to be very interesting to see how, as they deploy this CapEx with 2020, forget 2026. 2026 is now a full-scale build-out year for all these companies. I want to see 2027 and 2028, how they are able to optimize cash from operations, because what we've seen in the past is when they go on spending sprees, their cash from operations skyrockets. So I think this is going to sound crazy. I said 7,000 S&P at the beginning of this year. Looks like it could happen. Forget 2026, 2027. I think we could be 8,500 or 9,000.
2027.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the thought that by the end of the decade we would be at 10,000.
I agree with that.
So I wasn't sure if I wanted to say year-end 2029 or year-end 2030 for that prediction. I'm still toying around with it, but yeah, if you think about it, like a lot of people are probably like, that's crazy, but if you think about it, it's really not too absurd in terms of total return, right?
No, I mean, if we get to 7,000 this year, you still have 4 years before the end of the decade to move 3,000 points.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's just so exciting what's going on. And it's like, what's OpenAI going to announce next? Nobody expected them to announce that AMD deal, and nobody expected them to announce the Broadcom deal. So, Matt, what are you thinking? Are you thinking more NVIDIA at this point?
No. To be honest, for me, I'm still preparing for a potential pullback in oil. So I'm starting to focus on what plays I'm going to buy. I know you like Chevron. There's other plays that I like that I've started to kind of form a foundation. And I'm not talking.
Oh, hold on now. Jackie, is that true that their co-founder is Rick Perry? Do you know this company, Matt? Femi Energy?
No.
Huh. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I need to look into this because that could be very interesting. I've never heard of them. Yeah, I mean, Matt,
the problem is with some of this stuff though is like, which ones are going to execute, right? And the problem is you're going to see a lot of runners, and the problem that I have is it's going to be like 2021, right? If you guys remember, there was a lot of things in 2021 with respect to e-commerce and AI and things like that ran. And then in 2022, they got obliterated. And I'm not saying everything's going to get obliterated, but a lot of things took a really big hit in 2022. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like that that's happening, whether that happens in 26 or 27, I don't know. But there will be something at some point where some of these companies that are just running for the hell of it, that aren't actually able to execute, will get slapped down. And to me, those are the times to be looking for the ones that are actually executing out there. And that's when I consolidated. Like space stocks were really big for me back in 2021. And that's when I started investing in Rocket Lab. And this is an example, right? I'm not going to go on a tangent about Rocket Lab, but this is an example of what I mean by what you can use as a potential analog. So don't think specific, space, this is what you need to do, but think about an industry. So I was focused on space. I knew space was going to be, in 5 to 10 years time, a large industry that we needed to focus on. And I needed to find the companies in which I wanted to do it. So I invested in several and looked into their business models and eventually landed on, okay, Rocket Lab is the one I want to eventually sell all the other ones and put all my eggs into one basket for. And that was after doing research into multiple others and losing money in others. And I think that this is an opportunity for others to do the same, right? There could be an opportunity where you put a little bit of money in, you do some research, you find the ones that you think are good, you find the ones that are complete phonies, you make a list, you do your due diligence. This is going to be tough. This isn't going to be easy, right? You have to put in hours of work to be able to figure out which ones are the ones that are actually going to be the ones that come out of this unscathed in the long term, right? Everyone's going to get burnt in the short term. But what ends up happening with these things is, and it might not happen, right? So my hope is that it doesn't, because that means people lose money. But, my thought process, I've seen this happen a couple times, and it's more likely to happen than not, that a lot of these sectors will take a dump, and there's going to be some that just never recover. And my hope is that you find the ones that are actually going to be the ones that execute, right? Rocket Lab was easy to kind of check all the boxes because at that point they'd already delivered 17 rockets to orbit. And they were continued to deliver a multitude of different satellite components, businesses, satellites to NASA, working with SpaceX, etc. So it's very easy. You need to find the analogous company in SMRs. You need to find the analogous companies in solid state batteries and battery storage. You need to find the analogous companies in whatever quantum, right? The ones that are actually truthful, the ones that are the real deal, the ones that aren't just going to sell you hopes and dreams. And
so I got
be prepared.
I got a theory on quantum, and I go against pretty much everybody on this. And look, I was wrong about Rocket Lab. I was wrong about Hood. I'll probably be wrong about quantum, but I cannot be convinced for the life of me that these little companies are going to do something that Alphabet or IBM isn't going to be able to figure out. I'm just not buying it. I don't believe they're going to have the breakthroughs.
So one of them will do. You have to think. There's a multitude of them. One of them will do well. One of them will have some sort of proprietary solution that will grant them some sort of moat. It always happens, right? There's always somebody that comes out of left field that does a really good job, but 80 to 90% of them will go to zero. And that's with everything, right? I mean, and maybe zero is not the right term. 80 to 90% of them will squander and just kind of become, non-relevant. And, whether or not they get acquired for employees or what have you. But that's with everything, right? And that's going to be the same thing with the SMR space, right? It's inevitable, right? It's think about how many, and you think like, oh, that's bullshit, Matt. Like what? It's like, think about what ends up happening to the Ask Jeeves of the world, the Yahoos of the world, that they either fall out of favor or get acquired and eventually fall out of existence. And that's what I mean, right? I'm not saying that everyone has to declare bankruptcy, all the stocks have to go to zero. But what I am saying is they basically just end up having to get, thrown up in the air and eventually just end up stop being a player in the game. And unfortunately, when you're talking about the stock market, the game is infinite. Like, it's not like it's going to end in 2030. Like, we're talking about something that's going to surpass us in terms of length. So, in terms of lifespan, etc. So it's an interesting sort of theory that you need to kind of think about. And I hope a lot of people make money, but I hope when people are looking, if they're diversified into multiple of these companies, like the SMRs of the world, if they're invested in multiple, they're really paying attention to which ones are actually doing something. Because when push comes to shove, one of them will do well. And you need to figure out at what point is the right time to cut off the losers and invest in the winner. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my insight. I'm dumb. I don't, that's me.
I don't know enough about them, but knowing that IBM and Alphabet can throw blank checks at it, I'm more bullish on them figuring out quantum. We'll see.
I'm bullish on quantum. I mean, in terms of but I don't know enough about the company. So on the concept, I'm 100% there. I've known about Watson for 5 to 10 years, and that's an IBM product. And I feel like that they've made good strides, and I continue to hear small tricklings out of that. But I'm kind of with you. Like, it's one of the reasons why I invested in Google in the first place. Like, I think if anything were to come out of if anything were to come out of quantum, Google would be a spot, right? I mean, you have so many people that they can pay because their margins are so high on the search business. Like, they can employ so many different people. It's a catch-22, right? You're going to be able to employ so many people at Google, but you're also going to have a lot of bloat because the fact that you have such a big organization. So it's kind of an interesting sort of thought process.
The real question is, are we getting involved in CoreWeave, Nebius, or IRAN?
Can't afford it. I was interested in IRAN back below $20, and it was right around when they had switched up their business model. But what wasn't clear to me back then was, were they going to try to continue to do the Bitcoin business model, or were they going to fully focus on the energy infrastructure? And had I kept on with it, maybe I would have made an investment. But unfortunately, I just never ended up following up with it. But in terms of that stuff, I don't know. I mean, I wish everyone the best. I know a lot of people have done really well with it. I've never gotten involved. And
so here's where I'm at on this. I think they're very expensive, all of them. I think CoreWeave is very expensive. But for the first time, I looked at what the analysts are projecting. Let me show this. I'm going to have to talk to somebody way smarter than me about this, who actually follows and understands it. But they're talking about doing $5.26 billion in revenue this year, and then more than doubling revenue next year, and then growing by almost 50% in 2027. That's insane. That's insane growth. And it's not two analysts saying that. So I'm really looking at this very like, this has a good chance of happening, especially after everything OpenAI did. And while it may be expensive now, I don't think paying less than 4 times sales for 2027, 2028 numbers is crazy. And then 2027, 62 times earnings, and then 31 times earnings in 2028. I mean, I don't know. What they are spending on CapEx scares the hell out of me, but they can't meet demand. There's too much demand. So the fact that NVIDIA is a investor in CoreWeave, they're going to make sure that they get enough chips because they have a vested interest in it. So I think that this is something I'm considering starting a position in on a pullback if we get one. I mean, I don't know. I may have to bite the bullet and just start a position to force me to watch it and just add on dips.
It's one of those things where, I mean, maybe the cash secured put thing works. I mean, you can get a potentially reasonable valuation in that respect. If you, I don't know,
mean,
maybe
the fact is that they've only done $2.2 billion in the first half of revenue, and they're projected to do 5.26 billion. So they're expected to more than double the first half's revenue in second half. Like, they're growing.
Mm-hmm.
This, man, I don't know how the hell we missed all this. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate it. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that again also. Oh, look at this. We got some smart people in here getting in CoreWeave with IPO at 36. That's a great buy.
Yeah, I remember Chris was about CoreWeave. I don't know if he ever ended up investing. He might have just got too caught up.
I think we all talked about it. I just don't know if anybody pulled the trigger or not.
I remember him trying to talk to me about it. I don't know if he ended up. Yeah, I'm not sure if he ended up buying or not.
I guess I'm going to have to go down the rabbit hole on Nebius Group and CoreWeave and really do a analysis on both and figure something out, because this is going to be the future. I mean, everything that we're seeing is leading toward more data centers. So if that happens, I don't see how CoreWeave doesn't do well. And it's interesting that the data center REITs aren't really doing much. Like Equitas, I would have thought that they would have been doing well with all this build out. Maybe they don't have the right components inside, or they don't have the right tenants inside. I don't know.
I am not certain. What I anticipate is that what I don't know is if they're the ones that are building those out anymore. Like, is NVIDIA the one that's building out the data centers now? Because you have to think, like, those were when data centers weren't as, I don't want to say high tech. They were still necessary, but it was more about this cloud storage than anything. And I don't think you really needed compute, but I don't think you needed the intensity of the compute as you do today.
Right.
And so I think that what they did is you just found a ability to build a warehouse and get some, off the shelf chips, versus now, I mean, you really need like a huge capital expenditure budget. I think that they've honestly been priced out. I mean, think about the CapEx budgets of what Facebook and Microsoft and all these guys are spending. I don't think that they can compete. I could be wrong.
No,
I could be wrong. And I made money back in the day on, in the mid 2010s and in buying, I forget which one it was, Cyrus One, because Cyrus One was pretty big here in Houston, and I think they got bought out, but CONE was the ticker, and I made some good money on that. But I don't know. It's an interesting. It could be very well that it's something that we need to look at, and it could be just suppressed because of interest rates. And if it is, then that could be honestly a hole in the market that needs to be.
Well, that's another thing that's interesting with these companies, because as interest rates come down, cost of capital decreases, and they're more likely to expand. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there may still be an opportunity here. I mean, if I hate to say it, but if companies like Palantir can get the valuation that they're getting, CoreWeave can certainly get a big valuation. I mean, it's huge now, but it can get bigger over the next couple of years.
Yeah. That's why they pay big bucks.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, Matt.
They don't pay me anything, Steven.
What do you think about Taiwan Semi?
I don't have an opinion. I don't know anything about it. I don't know enough. Yeah, I don't know enough. I think honestly,
John, I have no idea. Thank you for the super chat. I really don't know. It would probably be a smart move temperature wise.
honestly, I think I get where people are saying, but I still think that in order to get this all to work, right? I know the Microsofts of the world and the Metas of the world, they probably have their own algorithms and things of the like. But for the common folk that are engineering focused and everything like Army, Department of Defense, etc., I still just think that you need a player that is going to bridge that gap between how to make AI attainable and usable for, I guess, the more non-technical folk, like finance and things like that. And so I don't know. I think all in all, I think this is still just extremely going to be very bullish for companies like Palantir. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Palantir probably going to keep going up, but we'll see. I think that there's a lot of opportunities at this point in the market. It's amazing that energy is being disrespected, and it's amazing that we have pockets. I mean, we always have pockets that go on runs and become very overvalued, but I do think energy is going to get a bid, and I do think that there's going to be more opportunities in the mega caps. I think they're just going to get bigger. I don't think anybody can compete with them. I really don't. So
man.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. You
All
gonna
right.
go
Well,
watch the game?
no, but I'm gonna head out. You guys have a good rest of the evening, and I appreciate you having me on. And
Well, thanks for coming on, Matt. I appreciate it.
yeah, I'm gonna finish my dinner and probably watch some TV. But I have to head to the office early the next couple days. I think I have to be between tomorrow. Tomorrow's not gonna be too bad, but Wednesday I have to be in at like 4:30. So I need to
Go
keep.
get your rest. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you having me.
Later.
Later, brother.
I'm glad Matt came on. His insights are amazing when it comes to energy and a lot of other things. And look, we all should have listened to him with Rocket Lab. I certainly did. I made fun of him all the time, called it rocket money. Shame on me because he made a tremendous amount of money on it. I didn't see the use case he did. I mean, hats off to him. And hopefully, we figure out some new plays. I really need to do a lot of due diligence on, I guess, Iron, CoreWeave, and Nebius. Nebius looks really interesting, but thank you, Moon Money. COPM, please look at it. All right. You know what? We'll look at it right now on the fly. How about that? So, what's it ticker? I don't even know what this company is. So, let's share the screen. What is this? All right. 466 million market cap. Okay. 47 million revenue. Negative earnings from ops, but not horrible. What are they paying in interest? Not horrible. All right. All right. Cash on the balance sheet, 26 million. Not seeing any long-term debt, which is good. That's interesting. Total debt, 2.2 million. All right, so you have my attention with the balance sheet. Before we even go to the website and see what they do. All right, no cash from operations. They're not really issuing stock. All right, I'm somewhat interested. What is this company? Let's see. I'm going to have to remove and add it back. Hold on. So vision beyond imagination. Okay, I like that there's military application, defense application. That's promising. Enterprise industrial. I'm going to have to really look into that. Okay, integrated vision systems for surgery is interesting also. What type of products they make? All right, you have my attention. I normally don't like investing in small companies like this. If they, all right, they have a deck. Let me go through it really quickly. I don't know why it didn't. All right, hold on. Let's bring up the deck. Let me go through it. I'll do a bigger deep dive on my own. Do they have any projections in this? Let's see. I mean, look, I like the fact that, oh, okay, they work with General Dynamics. That's interesting. Lockheed. Okay. Huh. All right, you have my attention. Receives contract for U.S. Army's next generation short range interceptor. You have my attention. I'm going to do a deeper dive on this. That's interesting. I mean, interesting. Anything with the military, I get interested in because there is a lot of promise there. So, very interesting. I'm going to have to really look into this and ask some people to look into it with me. That's very interesting. I don't have a fair price. I obviously need to do some math and look what the TAM is and look at everything else. But they have a pretty big PAM portfolio, so we'll see. Anybody who's working with the military, I'll look into. Yeah, I may start doing live streams where I do DD for like an hour or two. We'll see. I'm going to take some questions. I'm actually going to stop the stream in 17 minutes because Amit, Tanner, and I think Roy are going live. So I'm going to go watch that and watch the football game at the same time. Let's see. Let's take some questions. Yeah, Matt, $4 fair value. I'm going to look into it. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention, and I appreciate the super chat. Pizza time, I like it. I am not joining them unless they ask me to join them, but I'd be happy to join them if they want me to. So we'll see. If I get the phone call, I'll pick up. I am not in any drone plays, no. All right. We will do something like that. I can't believe the Mariners. I feel like them and the Brewers came out of left field, even though they really didn't. It's crazy. You know what? I actually started looking into TerraWolf, so we'll see. Adobe is something that I think is still interesting. People don't like it, but the numbers are good. Let's see. I do not know BITF. Yeah, I'm still bullish on BMNR. Absolutely. Yeah, look, a lot of people are saying Adobe's obsolete. I got to tell you, I've been making the thumbnails from Gemini. It takes like 7 seconds. I type in what I want. It takes 7 seconds. It's crazy. More vlogs. I will. Maybe I'll do some cooking ones over the summer, some outside grilling ones. I do want to do some rips of cards and some other stuff. And let me know in the chat. Do you want me to do straight up movie stuff late night? Like I am putting together a long list of movies, 80s, 90s, different genres, because everybody seems to love the movie talk late at night. So maybe we'll do some dedicated streams on that. Let's see. I haven't looked at Kraken yet. Cooking stream. I gotta tell you, I do like to cook. I do like to cook. Portnoy stuff. Listen, I think I said the other night, he's one person I would really like to just sit down and have a conversation with and eat some pizza with. I really would like to do that with him. He is a very interesting guy, and I want to pick his brains about really some of the pizzerias he holds in high regard, because I've held them in high regard for a very long time. So I think it would be very interesting. Record some vlogs and get the content out. Yeah, we could do that. We could figure something out. I didn't want you to admit anything. All I was saying is I was ending the stream at 9:30 because I know that they're going live, so I was going to watch them. Somebody asked if I was joining, and I said no, but if I get the invite, I'll pick up the phone. So I do like energy. Wait, what do you mean? Dave Portnoy doesn't know jack about pizzas. He lives bat pizzas. I mean, Portnoy is, when he talks, people listen about pizza. I gotta tell you, I've been to a lot of places he's been to. And he doesn't miss. I mean, he goes everywhere. And I gotta tell you, he has not given a bad review to the places that I really like. So I do have one. Thank you for the super chat. I'll get to it in a sec. I do have one thing about Portnoy. The only thing, and this is one of the things I'd like to talk to him about, he does not like Neapolitan. He likes a very certain type of pizza, and he holds that in regard above everything. To me, I like all forms. I like what he considers football. I like the really thin crust, the coal fire, and I like Neapolitan. So I am across the board willing to score them all on a certain, without prejudice. So we'll see. Thank you for the super chat. I do not know BURU, Blue Laser Company. They got a letter of warning today from New York Stock Exchange. Their CEO, I have no idea. I'd have to look at it. I do not know them. Listen, rush hour in New York City, I challenge you not to honk your horn at least once. I have indirect through Energy Transfer, Enterprise Product Partners, Kinder Morgan, and Enbridge. So I need to do more due diligence on next. No, Portnoy's been more pizza places than anybody. No, no, that I can't subject you to that. I'm sorry. I agree. I actually like it. He considers it fancy pizza. I happen to like it. Let's see. Same here. I will tell you this. That's the one place I have not gone. I refuse to wait online like that. Somebody who I know knows Mark. I am gonna get to Cali at some point. I don't know when, but I can't wait to go there. But yeah, everybody that I have spoken to that I go out to eat with that has gone there, they all say it's top 3 of all time. So I really respect their opinions. So I do want to go there. It's the only one that I have not. You know what? Damn it, I haven't done this one either, and I know I need to go there. I just haven't done it. The video that they did, obviously, he was on Billions. Yeah, those are the two I need to go to. Let's see. I do not know if Iran has a community or not. Yeah, everybody's asking. I am going to do the homework. I started looking at them very briefly. I feel like I kind of missed the boat, but maybe we didn't. Maybe it's very early after what I'm seeing in the news with OpenAI. So I am going to do the due diligence and I will get back to everybody. I mean, it is technically a form of ice cream also. Let's see. Whoa. Tommy's Pizza in the Bronx. I got to tell you something. That's the one on East Tremont, right? I've been there. I went there after one of Portnoy's reviews with the guy he just met that told him to try the upside down slice. So I actually went out there and tried it. I will do a full DD stream. Definitely, yes. Lombardi's is okay. I mean, it's good. It's not crazy. I like Joe's better. Ray's is good. Fancy pizza is what Portnoy considers Neapolitan fancy pizza. I'm not into Katz's Deli. No. Oh, Grimaldi's? Absolutely. I'm a fan. I have not heard of Sonny and Annie's. Let's see. Yeah, I love Billions. Great show. Great show. Nona Pizza Place in New York. Stop it. Stop it. Don't mess me with like that. One milk, everybody knows the rules. I love that. That's awesome. All right, this is a very serious question. We're going to do a whole stream about ice cream one night because it's different flavors from different companies. I'm not going to say it on this one. We'll do a full ice cream stream. But gelato's good too. And for those of you in New York, go to the Lemon Ice King of Corona, Queens if you like Italian ices. Best Italian ices you ever have in your life. Don't say Ralph's around me. Sacrilegious. Yes, we did have a nice bounce today. Not a single place you can recommend that is actually good. What do you mean? I mean, go to freaking, let's say, what hasn't been said on this stream. I mean, go to John's on Bleecker and tell me that's not good. Or Slice Pizza Shop. You know, we may have a surprise at some point. No, but I like vodka. I like Penny alla vodka. I have not gone to Pershing Square Grand Central. Detroit pizza style. I mean, is that Chicago style? I mean, deep dish. If you need a fork and a knife, it's not pizza. That's just my opinion. New York over Chicago pizza, without a question. Jersey's got some fire pizza, no question about it. We're not getting into best vanilla. We're not getting into any of that. That's a separate stream. Can't do it. We're gonna have a whole ice cream stream. Do not worry. It's gonna happen. John's on Bleecker is fire. All right, if you know about Juniors in Brooklyn, what about Fortunato Brothers? Fortunato Brothers, one of my favorite bakeries, or Mataloni's up in Arthur Ave, phenomenal. Game of Thrones, I read the books before the series even came out. Yes, I'm a fan. I don't think that the series did it justice. You know, we may have a surprise at some point. Let's see. I am following VG. I don't have much thoughts yet. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to go milk a cow. That's not happening. Definitely not happening. I have not been to the UK. No. I try not to leave the US. I mean, we live in or at least I live in the greatest country in the world, so I'm not trying to leave the US. Yeah, what is up with this? I've been waiting for his new book for what, 8 years now? It's just like, come on. So ridiculous. Nah, not happening. Not leaving the US. Yeah, I actually sent it to Tanner. I actually sent it to him. I guess we can make it public at some point. No, I'm too old. No way. I don't live like that. Jordan, then Kobe. Let's see. Bought some tack last week. I'm not even sure what that is. Yeah, look, here, my book doesn't hold a lot of water, all right? But for what it's worth, it goes MJ, goes Kobe, goes Magic, then LeBron, then Bird. And if I'm putting a starting five on the court, it's Kobe, Jordan, Curry, Tim Duncan, and Shaq. Just saying. They're set up. They're set up. I don't know that. Probably Kareem. I don't know. I got to think about that one. Dude, Penny is freaking great. Too bad he got injured. Wish he didn't get injured. All right, everybody, it's been a blast. I'm going to go tune in to Tanner, Amit, and Roy. Maybe we'll do something later tonight. Maybe we'll definitely do something later in the week, but I'm going to end this. So we'll we're going to do a whole book stream. I've read a lot of books. We'll do a whole book stream. But for now, good night. Go watch Amid and the Boys, and I'll talk to everybody later. Have a good night.